My name is Zoe. People often ask me when I started smoking, and my answer always surprises and confounds them. Hey Zoe, they say, when did you start smoking? And I reply, quite seriously, 1928. Okay, so I'm 24, and 1928 was nearly 100 years ago, so clearly the math doesn't add up, which means I have to explain every single time. So I guess I'm writing this down so I can just get it out there once and for all. Instead of telling the same story over and over, I can just refer people to the website. Or maybe I'll have it printed out as a booklet or something. Anyway, here it is. My grandmother's name is Catherine Wilcox, and she refers to herself as a regression therapist or past life counselor. My mom refers to her as a witch, but their relationship is kind of complicated. Grammy is not a witch. Yes, I call her Grammy. She does also read fortunes and stuff, but that's not the point. Anyway, some time ago, I had arranged to spend the weekend at her house in the country. I was really looking forward to it. I drove up on Friday afternoon and traffic was good. I got there early. As I got out of my car, Grammy was just showing out her last client, a short, dumpy elderly lady in an enormous fur coat and a wide brim hat that completely obscured her face. She was rich, though. That was obvious thanks to the Mercedes parked outside and the driver who opened the door for her. Grammy saw me and waved, beckoning me over. We watched for a moment as the Mercedes drove off.
That was Mrs. Westfield.
Grammy told me.
Oddly enough, she used to be a Nubian princess.
I stared at the departing vehicle.
Zoe, baby.
Grammy greeted me warmly. Hi, Gram. I beamed. We hugged warmly and then went inside. We chatted idly as we went into the living room, and Grammy poured us both a glass of wine, which we took to the couch.
How was the trip, honey?
She asked. Great, I replied. Clear run all the way. She smiled and lit up a cigarette to go with her wine. Nubian princess, huh? I asked.
Oh, yes.
Grammy chuckled. We had never really discussed her unusual occupation before. I think largely because my mom, her daughter, thought the whole thing was a bunch of hooey. But I was suddenly kind of curious. So, do you think maybe I might have been someone else? In a former life? I asked.
Of course, dear.
She said quite seriously.
Actually, you have an old soul.
I do? She nodded, taking a puff of her cigarette. I pondered this for a moment, sipping my wine. Then, on a whim, I said, Do you think you could? You know, hypnotize me or whatever? Grammy just smiled warmly.
Would you like me to, darling?
She asked. I thought about it for a moment. Then I didn't. Yeah, I think it might be interesting to know if I was a Nubian princess or something. Grammy chuckled.
Of course your mother would hate the idea.
She said. Well, that settles it, I declared, putting down my wine and sitting back on the couch. Let's do it. Put the whammy on me. Grammy groaned and crushed out her cigarette.
Now listen, I do not put the whammy on anyone.
She said firmly.
If you really want to do this, Zoe, you have to take it seriously.
Okay, I'm sorry, I said. So what do I do? Grammy took a breath and looked at me carefully.
Okay,
She said.
so in deference to your mom, the paying customers do expect a certain amount of hooey, which I'm going to skip because on the one hand, you're not paying for this, and on the other hand, you're too intelligent for all that.
I nodded appreciatively.
So, all you have to do is relax. Take a deep breath, let it out slowly, and let go.
We continued like this for a while, with Grammy instructing me to relax and let go, and me not relaxing or letting go at all. I'm sorry, Gram, I said eventually. This isn't working. She sighed. I know, I said, suddenly getting an idea. Let's snuggle up. That always makes me feel safe and warm and very relaxed. Grammy smiled.
Okay, honey.
She said, putting her arm around me as I snuggled in close.
I definitely don't do this with paying clients.
So we began again, Grammy telling me to relax and let go, and with the warmth and comfort of her body so close, before I knew it, I was drifting away on a warm, fluffy cloud of bliss. The next thing I was really aware of, I was 5 years old again, playing with my dollies, and I was so happy I didn't want it to ever end. But then Grammy told me to let that moment go and drift backwards, back through the mists of time. And then I found her, Daisy Cartwright. I don't know how I knew her name, but I did. She was Daisy Cartwright, and she was from Charleston, Carolina. She was about my age, 20-ish, and she was dressed up like a flapper from the 1920s, in a long black dress covered in sequins, with long black silk gloves and a short bob hairdo. She was beautiful, standing in front of a huge bay window. She was waiting for her beau. They were heading off to a party. Was she me? Was I Daisy? I didn't really know, but I knew her. I knew her name, and it all felt so familiar. Then I noticed with some surprise that she was smoking from a long, black cigarette holder. She looked so elegant, so mature. Heck, let's face it, so sexy. And she seemed to really enjoy it, closing her eyes and relishing the sensation. She exhaled smoke from her nostrils, and it looked so cool. Then Grammy's voice interrupted my consideration of Daisy, and she asked me to describe what I was seeing. I tried, but my voice was very quiet, and I guess I was too far gone to be coherent. Then the vision of Daisy began to fade. Grammy's voice became clearer, and she guided me back to the present.
3, 2, 1. Wide awake, honey.
And I was back. I was me again.
How is that baby?
Grammy asked. Oh my God, I gasped. Was that real? Was that me?
I don't know, baby.
Grammy replied.
What do you think? How did it feel?
It was so familiar. I struggled to find words. I knew her. I don't know,
Do you think it was you?
she asked. I really don't know, I replied.
Okay, what was she like?
Again, I couldn't find words, but I could show her. I grabbed my satchel and pulled out a sketch pad and pencil and began to try to capture the image of Daisy while she was still fresh in my mind. Grammy waited patiently. She lit a cigarette, and the smell of it suddenly resonated. Yes, I don't really know what I mean by that, but it's the closest word I can find for the sense that came over me. I suddenly began to spend a lot of time getting the cigarette holder right. I must have erased and redrawn it 6 times before I was satisfied and returned to the rest of my drawing. Once I was finished, I handed the pad to Grammy. That's Daisy, I said. She studied it carefully and noted,
Your artwork is getting really good, honey. She was very pretty.
I nodded in appreciation.
You know her name?
Grammy asked.
Daisy?
Daisy Cartwright, I confirmed. From Charleston, Carolina,
That's good, sweetheart.
she replied.
How do you know that?
I don't know, I told her. I just know,
A name and a place.
she mused.
That's important information. And from the dress, we can assume that we're looking at the 1920s.
I guess so, I confirmed. That feels about right. Grammy reached for another cigarette, and as she lit up, I was suddenly overwhelmed with a strange sense of curiosity. Graham? I began.
Yes, honey?
Could I try one of those? It took her by surprise, I guess. I didn't smoke. I had never even considered it,
Are you sure about this, honey?
she asked. I paused for a moment, then replied, Yeah, I think so. I can't explain it. It's just that Daisy looked so... She seemed to really like it, and when you were smoking earlier, the smell of it just kind of resonated. You know? She considered this and nodded.
Yes, I understand, Zoe.
She said, I kind of want to understand what it was like. For her. If she was me. I trailed off. I knew my reasoning was faulty, but I couldn't shake the feeling. Grammy retrieved a cigarette for me, then asked.
You want me to light it for you, baby?
I nodded. I really didn't know what I was doing. She put the cigarette to her lips and lit it up. Then she carefully handed it to me. I took it between my fingers, holding it as I had seen her holding them many times. I just stared at it for a while, considering the strange sensation.
Okay, honey.
Grammy asked.
How does that feel?
I struggled to understand and express my feelings. Not sure, I said. Doesn't quite feel right,
Oh, wait a minute.
Grammy said, getting up hurriedly.
Just a moment, dear.
She crossed to the armoire and opened a drawer, rummaged around, then withdrew a long, slim package. Returning to the couch, she unwrapped it to reveal a slim silver cigarette holder.
I picked this up on holiday years ago.
She said.
I don't think I've ever used it.
She carefully wiped it with a tissue. Then, taking my cigarette from me, she inserted it into the holder and handed the assemblage back to me.
How's that, darling?
She asked. I felt the weight of it. It felt better. Okay, this wasn't as long as the holder Daisy had used, but it felt good. It felt familiar. I held it in the same elegant fashion as Daisy, and a rush of excitement took me. Oh, that's much better, I said. I think Grammy was about to coach me, but almost without thinking, I took it to my lips, took a puff, and inhaled deeply. Grammy looked astonished as I blew out a stream of smoke with a satisfied smile.
Zoe,
She said.
you've never smoked before?
It was half question, half statement of fact. I shook my head. No, never. Did I do it right?
Baby, that was perfect. And you didn't even cough.
I didn't even think of that. No, I said. I didn't, did I?
Well,
She said thoughtfully.
so what do you think?
I looked thoughtfully at the burning cigarette and then took a more considered puff. It's kind of nice, I decided. I think I can understand why Daisy enjoyed it so much. There was something about the feeling of holding the cigarette in that long holder that somehow felt right. Felt good. Felt so familiar. So comfortable. I took another puff and tried exhaling through my nostrils, like Daisy. I think I like it too, I said.
Do you think that you might continue to smoke now?
I don't know. Maybe. You know? Once in a while.
Oh dear, your mother is going to hate me.
Grammy sighed. She already hates you, I joked. Don't worry, I won't tell on you,
So,
she said conspiratorially.
we have a project for the weekend.
I guess we do, I agreed, taking another puff from my cigarette holder. Daisy Cartwright, Charleston, Carolina, circa 1920. So that became a mutual project for the next couple of days. I Googled like crazy, and Grammy did some research at the local library. For a long time, it looked like we were chasing our tails. Then, as I searched through birth records for Dorchester County, I found her. Daisy Cartwright, daughter of Hiram and Sarah Cartwright of Dorchester County. Born 1904, April 6th. Oh, wow, I gasped. She was real. I guess it took a long while for that to really sink in. Daisy Cartwright had been a real person, and she would have been about my age, right in the 1920s. It was crazy. Maybe I had lived before. Maybe I was Daisy in a former life. Grammy seemed sure of it, but I still couldn't quite accept the idea. I think my mom and her skepticism had rubbed off on me a little. But then Grammy dropped the real bombshell. She had made one more trip to the library based on what I had discovered. She returned a little later with some photocopies from a newspaper, the Charleston Gazette, dated 11th October 1928. A small article reported that a young couple had been killed in a car crash the previous evening. Daisy Cartwright and her boyfriend Roger St. Clair had been returning from a party, probably drunk. Their car had spun out of control and they had both died in the ensuing crash. Another page showed a photograph of the two of them arm in arm. Daisy was wearing the same dress I had seen her in, and in her other hand, she was holding that long black cigarette holder. They were smiling delightedly, and Roger looked so handsome, positively dashing. It was such a tragic waste. I stared at the photo for a long time until Grammy put a gentle hand on my shoulder and said,
You okay, honey?
"It's so sad," I replied quietly. Grammy sighed.
Yes, in a way. But look at them both, sweetheart. They were young, they were happy. It looks to me like they were very much in love. And we both know that Daisy isn't really gone, don't we?
I considered this for a moment. No, I guess not. I replied uncertainly.
I tell you what, honey.
Grammy said brightly to cheer me up.
Why don't we crack open a bottle of wine, get really drunk, and watch The Great Gatsby? Or is that a little bit much?
No, I replied. That's a great idea. DiCaprio?
Redford.
She replied. It must be a generational thing. So that's what we did. And as the opening credits rolled, she said,
Would you like a cigarette, honey?
I nodded and picked up the cigarette holder, which was sitting by the ashtray. This time, I took the cigarette and seated it properly in the holder. Lighting it was weird because the cigarette was so far away from my face, but I soon got it. My opinion hadn't changed. I still liked it. So we sat, and we smoked, and we drank wine and watched the decadence of the roaring 20s. We snuggled up together, and Grammy did not hypnotize me. She could have. I wouldn't have minded. But she just let me fall asleep on my own. I think I dreamt of Daisy. The following day, Sunday, we talked some. Then we went for a walk up by the lake. We talked a lot about her strange profession, her clients, and she even told me the story of one of her past lives as the wife of a nobleman in medieval England. It was a lovely day. Around 3 o'clock, I had to leave for home, and we hugged, and she kissed me on the forehead and told me to come back soon. Then she gave me a parting gift, the silver cigarette holder.
It's yours now, honey.
She said.
Use it or don't, but keep it for Daisy.
So I kept it, and I used it, occasionally at first, then more often. Then one day I just decided that I wanted to keep smoking. Yes, I suppose I was probably just addicted by this point. But what the hell? I liked smoking, particularly with my cigarette holder. My mom had a cow, of course, but I lied and told her I had picked up the habit from an ex-boyfriend, who she had always hated anyway. So that's the story. That's why when anyone asks me when I started smoking, I tell them 1928. And it's true, in a way. Weird, right? Of course you may be asking yourself, what about Daisy's dashing boyfriend, Roger? Were they not destined to be together forever? Was Roger out there somewhere, searching for his beloved? That, my friend, is an entirely different story. And if you think that this one was weird, you have no idea.